What if gold wasn't valuable? There's two ways of answering this question. The first being, what if gold wasn't valuable today? Well, if all of a sudden gold just wasn't valuable, the economy would definitely take a hit. Some countries would be more devastated than others, gold mining would be effectively worthless, but I do believe we could ultimately walk away from gold. The second, more fun approach to this question is, what if gold wasn't valuable throughout history? Now, if gold wasn't valuable throughout history, a lot would be different. It would take about 20 videos or so to get through it all from top to bottom. So instead, I organized a couple of the major changes I believe would happen.
I hear the drums echoing tonight, and she hears all.
So before bans and credit card debt, there was the gold standard. The gold standard was a currency system that was based around gold. The gold standard eventually evolved to the currencies we got today, but if gold wasn't valuable, this currency would never come to pass. This could have major effects, but it could also have minimal effects. There could be a bunch of different currencies ranged from each country, or it could just be replaced with something like silver. So instead of the gold standard, there would be the silver standard. I lean more towards the latter, but either could happen. I think the biggest change to the currency though would be that gold mining would no longer have an effect on the inflation of a currency. So throughout history, when countries would get in possession of a lot of gold, this would flood the economy and cause major inflation. The best example of this is when Spain went to the New World and brought back buckets of silver and gold and they poured it into their economy. And this caused massive levels of inflation. In this new timeline, that wouldn't happen. So for the people living under Spain during that time, that would be pretty sweet. So when I was coming up with the idea for this video, this is where my head was at. If gold wasn't that valuable, it's safe to say that colonization would be stunted or, to the extreme, stopped. When Christopher Columbus sailed over and he brought back gold, and he was like, hey, this is just a small amount of the enormous amounts of gold that caused Spain to want to colonize in the New World. But if that never happened, it's hard to say if colonization would have even continued. I do believe that colonies would have been set up regardless, as during this time they still thought there was a way to Asia, but colonization as a whole would have been stunted. Of course, there are other resources in the New World that would have been intriguing to European powers, but gold was the selling point for a lot of European powers. This change in history could have the New World looking entirely different from how it does now. Although all these changes would bring about an entirely different world, I think the biggest change that the devaluation of gold would have on the world is culture. In our culture, gold is a sign of wealth and power, and if gold wasn't worth much, this would all change. You know, when you're in the convenience store and you see those like little candies that are chocolate wrapped in like gold, there probably wouldn't be any of those. Which is a shame too, because they taste pretty good. There wouldn't be no leprechauns sitting on pots of gold, and there wouldn't be no pirates looking for chests of gold. Society would look entirely different if gold was not around. I do believe the lack of gold would make room for another type of high praise material to fill its place, like silver or diamonds. But it's tough to say in a world that would be so different from our own. Lastly, I should talk about the smaller changes that would happen throughout history. Gold mining wouldn't be very profitable. I'm not entirely sure how much gold would go for, but I don't think it would be enough to maintain gold mines. Places like California, places that were boomed up by gold production, wouldn't be the same. California was founded on the gold rush. A lot of people came over to mine the gold, and a lot of people stayed because, well, it's easier to just stay there instead of, going all the way back home. And also the gold itself boosted up California's economy. These kinds of gold rushes happened in a couple different places throughout the world, so all of that would have gone away. And it's tough to say what would happen to those places. So these theories that I laid out before you, these are mere speculations into what would be a completely foreign world. And if you have any other ideas of what would happen, I only covered a couple in this video because the amount of changes that would happen with devaluation of gold is numerous. So if you have any other ideas or theories of what would happen, you can put it in the comments below. So with all that being said, hope you guys have a good day and take it easy.